We have Barbara Kemp with us, back from last year. She did this presentation for us, but she gave so much information. I knew that people would want to see it again. And I think you said you added some slides to it as well. Last year, we were trying with our crazy camera there that has a mind of its own, and noticed that the recording for it was not very good, and people at home had a little bit of a problem too, because it would just white out, and they could not see what you were doing on the internet, because it was a white background. Right. So we're doing a little bit different. We're doing screen sharing this time. So it's my pleasure to welcome you back, and you might be telling them a little bit about yourself. Okay.
Well, thank you for inviting me back. I'm Barbara Kemp, and I am a pharmacist. My first degree was in home economics education. I did a lot of nutrition at that point, and then I went into pharmacy. And so a lot of what I'm talking about is drugs and dietary supplements. I've been teaching a class for all on dietary supplements, and I've probably learned way more than my students, but it's a fascinating subject. But how much... When I was looking for stuff and I'd see stuff online and I go, oh, no, that's not right. Yesterday I was playing with this presentation and I found stuff online that, no, that's not right. And then you look at the source and it was somebody with an axe to grind or somebody who had an agenda, so you gotta watch what you're looking for on the internet. And at the end of this presentation, I added a couple of slides about AI. So that's at the end, so you don't have to stop me in the middle and go, what about AI? Because I'll get to that. Okay, first thing, be wary of any site that ends in .com or .net. These are commercial sites. They have an agenda. And what their agenda is not to educate you. It's to get you to buy something or to get you to subscribe to their service. So the information is likely to be biased. Now, that's a .com. A .net is usually owned by a tech company like Comcast or somebody like that, like internet providers. But anybody who pays for it can use it. So that could be a biased source too. So what are our not biased sources? Oh, look at this. It's messed up. Well, what to look for are sites ending in .org. These are nonprofits in general, and they have nothing to gain by putting up misleading information, so usually they don't. Usually their information is honest. This domain can be purchased by a for-profit company. So again, you need to watch it, but most of the time when I've seen a .org, it's a nonprofit. Now, the most reliable are the .edu and the .govs. Excuse me. The EDUs are educational. They're colleges, basically, colleges and universities, but it could also be an extension office, like the Fayette County Extension Office's programs are always .edu. So it could be the extension, or I actually have some. It's just, when you've got this issue, you can't just drink water all day. So colleges and universities, a lot of times they put their research out there. A lot of times it's just straight up educational. The extension offices are there to enlighten people about, of course, usually it's plants or farming or something, but it could also be nutrition. Extension sites do have a home economics component. And then the sites ending in .gov are government agencies, FDA or CDC or National Institutes of Health or something like that. And they are there to impart information. And that's their only purpose. They have nothing to grind there. If they're trying to sell you something, it's a government publication. It's not there to make money. So .gov, .edu, those are the main ones. .org can be a good site, depends on the organization. There is a .mil, but you're not going to get it because it's military use only. Your second rule of thumb is always buyer beware or browser beware. So when you see something, especially in an ad, and it says clinically tested, does that mean it was better? Does that mean it passed the test? It doesn't say that, does it? Clinically tested. Not a word about the results. Clinically proven. It might be proven. More people got relief with Advil than with Motrin. You know, ridiculous, right? Because they're the same drug. But it doesn't mean it's statistically significant. 7 people got relief with Aleve, and 6 people got relief with Advil. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything. More people, yeah, true, but it's not statistically significant. And when it's statistically significant, it means the results are such that randomness could not account for it. Of 6 to 7 could be random, right? But a 95% over 5%, not very likely to be random. That's obviously something real. So it's not necessarily statistically significant just because it says clinically proven. And the studies show, same thing. Studies show. The study may have only had 6 people in it. The studies may have shown that 7 people out of 13 got relief. That's not enough to prove superiority. It's not enough to prove that the drug was better or anything like that. So those kind of phrases are something to be wary of. It might be good, but those are pretty broad. Here's an example. This drug, Nervive, it's not a drug. It's a dietary supplement. And it is advertised to help nerve pain. Nerve pain. All pain is from the nerve. I mean, so that's kind of a silly thing to say in the first place. But it says more information, find us on the web at nervive.health.com. Okay, well, I'm going to go there. It's a .com site though, you know. But still, let's just see what happens when we go there. Okay. Explore your products. How does it work? Learn more. What I want to see is what's in this, right? So if I look at it, I can look down here and see what's in it. Actually, the best place to see what's in it's right here. It's on the package. And it says, can you all see that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. It's hard, but I will show you what it says. Thiamine. That's a vitamin B1. It has 100% of your daily need of thiamine. Has B6, pyridoxine, 100% of your B6. Vitamin B12, 100% of your B12. And just a touch of calcium. Wait a minute, that's the same stuff that's in your regular multivitamin, isn't it? Why in the world do you need it? You don't. That's the point. You don't. Alpha lipoic acid, ALA, there's some studies out there, but that's a very small amount. And this nerve relief herbal blend, ginger and turmeric. Is this stuff going to be worth it? No. No. They told you could go to their website. Yeah, you did. So what you found out was not so much. Okay, go back to here. Okay, so anyway, .com, it did give you the information, but if you didn't go to the little piece on the box, it acts like, oh, this is really good. It's got all this stuff in it. It's going to help. It's going to help. Just take a vitamin. I will say that 100 times. Just take a multivitamin because that has everything. It's balanced. It has not just those 3 B vitamins, but it has all the B vitamins, plus your A, plus your C. It has everything. Don't need to buy a specialty thing like this. And what do you think Nervive roll-on is going to be like? Okay. All of the dietary supplements have to say this. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Contrary to what they just told you, how it treats nerve pain, they have a disclaimer. And the FDA doesn't say that it is, because the FDA does not evaluate dietary supplements. If they're bad, they'll take them off the market, but they do not evaluate them to see if they're good, if they're honest, if they have what they have in them. They don't. This is my favorite place to go for dietary supplements. If you want to know anything about dietary supplements, this is the site. And it's from the NIH, National Institutes of Health. It's a .gov site. It's fact sheets, and it's everything. So this is what it looks like. It has every dietary supplement, almost every dietary supplement that's out there. Aloe vera, vitamin A, apple cider vinegar. You go down here, elderberry, ephedra, eucalyptus, vitamin E. It has some other things too, conditions. Iodine, iron, horsetail, horny goatweed. What? I mean, they have them all. They have everything. So you can get a lot of information. Now let's pull up iron, for instance. Iron is a dietary supplement. Okay. Here's the sheet that you get for this. And I think this is just really good information. What is iron and what does it do? How much do I need? And this is the breakdown of how many milligrams everybody needs, depending on your age, sex, and state of life. What foods provide iron? Where can I get it if I'm anemic? What foods can I eat rather than eating, just taking pills? What kinds of dietary supplements are available? There's some that just have iron, some that have iron and vitamins in them. There's different kinds of iron, ferrous sulfate, ferrous gluconate, ferric sulfate. Am I getting enough iron? What happens if I don't get enough iron? Usually if you don't get enough iron, your doctor's going to tell you because they're going to do the test. And you shouldn't really dose yourself with mega doses of iron because it can hurt you. But they sell them. They sell them. So these are the kinds of things that you can find on a very reliable source. The National Institutes of Health, Office of Dietary Supplements, very good source of information. And I do love this website. So where do you find information on diet and food? Let's see if I can move this stuff. Nope, I can't. So you can check out dietary guidelines. Dietary guidelines is another .gov site, and this is also .gov. This is the USDA.gov. Dietary guidelines is developed by the government to tell people which kinds of nutrients you should consume based on activity and age. That thing we just saw on iron that broke it down by age and whether you're pregnant or breastfeeding or, whatever, male, female, that is one of the kinds of things that you'll find in these dietary guidelines that tell you how to eat well. It's 164 pages. You can download it. It's a lot, but it's got color pictures and stuff. We'll look at it real quick. I like it, but it's for people. I've already got the PDF downloaded. I don't want to download it again. But anyway, this is you can see the picture of it, and it's child health, health in later years where you need more protein than you think you do. So it's a good site. It's a very good site, and I approve of it. I think if you're looking for how to set up your diet, but if you want to know how much vitamin C is in an orange, this book is not going to tell you that. The nutritive value of foods, this is going to tell it to you. And I did download this, and I've got it here. So you can look, wait a minute, here's the table of contents. Nutritive value of the edible part of food. So they're not going to tell you the nutritive value of like an orange rind, or the, that kind of stuff. But you can go to these pages and look at stuff like page 66 is poultry. So this will tell you meat and meat products, not just poultry. So you can see, the problem is, they used to have a print book and you could open it up and the 2 pages would be side by side. Well, now you got to scan down to the bottom to look, but you can still see stuff. Like at the top, it's got the cholesterol, carbohydrate, calcium, potassium, vitamin A, the 3 of the B vitamins, vitamin C, and then you go down the column or go up the column and see the weight, the measure of each edible portion, how many calories. Lamb, a 3-ounce portion of lamb has 219 calories in it. If you eat the fat, if you only eat the lean, it's 164. Shows you how much protein's in it. Obviously, there's not much difference because there's very little protein in fat. And then you go down to this next page to get the other nutrients. The calcium, vitamin A, very little of most of that stuff in lamb. So anyway, this is another good source if you're trying to design your diet to try to address a nutrient deficiency and you want to just eat and you don't want to take pills. This is a very, very good source. Okay, so what if we're not dealing with food or dietary supplements, but we're dealing with prescription drugs? Well, your first source is you got it at the pharmacy. When they gave you your bag, they put a patient leaflet in there. And the patient leaflet has everything they think you need to know about it. And most of what you do need to know about it. The drug name, and a lot of times they tell you how to pronounce it, which is a big trip up for a lot of people. They don't know how to pronounce it, so they can't tell somebody what they're taking because they don't know how to pronounce it. How do you use it? What's it used for? You take it with food, you take it at bedtime, how many times a day, how many times a day can you take it if it's flexible? What kind of side effects are there? Precautions, things that you need to be concerned about. Warnings are not usually here because somebody's already given you the warning, but if like it causes stomach bleed, it'll probably say that, call your doctor if you notice black tarry stools or coffee ground emesis, stuff like that. What happens if you miss a dose? What drugs should you not be taking? Your doctor and your pharmacist both should have caught that if you're taking prescription drugs. But if you're taking dietary supplements and you didn't tell your doctor, there could be some drug interactions that you were not aware of. And one of those, if you take St. John's wort, and a fair number of people do, it has a lot of drug interactions. And people don't think about it because it's an herbal, but it does have a lot of drug interactions. So that's something you might see on your package insert. And then you go, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't. This is what a drug information leaflet looks like. Okay, that's a whole lot of words, and I get why people don't read it. I totally get it, but it's everything you might need to know. This is like an antihistamine drug too, okay? This isn't even a heart drug or something bad, this is an antihistamine, and yet it has all this stuff on there. So I see why people don't read it, but really, the drug information leaflet is a good source. And if you don't want to read it and you have questions, you can always ask your pharmacist. That's what they're there for. They always say to you, do you have any questions for the pharmacist? And you need to say yes if you do. Don't say, no, they don't have time for me. Yes, they do. Okay, other sources of information for prescription drugs. You can ask the pharmacist, even if you're not taking it, you might be wanting to decide whether you should take it, or maybe you have a family member who takes it. And you want to know more about it. Here's some places you can go. I like Hippocrates, although it's slowing down terribly because I did not pay for it. It's a .com. They want you to buy a subscription. You don't have to use the basic platform, but they're going to annoy the crap out of you until you do. You do have to set up an account, though. You can't just use it without an account. I tried. It does not work. And it's kind of geared to healthcare professionals, so it may include abbreviations that you're not familiar with. not user-friendly necessarily. But what they do have on this site, oh, it's not good. Clinical information you need. Yeah, until you say, wait, I don't have a subscription. But here's the search and here's the tools. The tools would be like the pill ID. And I'll get to that in a minute, but you can do a pill ID on this site. You don't have to sign in. You don't have to have an account. You just pill ID and you type in the numbers. Like, I can't remember any of them now. I used to know all these pill ID numbers when I was practicing a lot. It's terrible. But we had to memorize them because that's the way you knew if the drug was right or not. But you can do the shape. You can do the color, whether or not it's scored. That means whether it's got a line down the middle of it. If it's white, if it's oval, you know, and if you're going to get a 400, there's a lot of 445 matches if you don't know the number. So, you know, you got to have a little more information than that if you're dealing with a scored white capsule looking pill. Yeah, you know, let's see what happens. No matches found. Oh, there's one match. What I hit. That's the one I was thinking I was hitting. This is the lower tab, hydrocodone. Oh. That's the one I was thinking I was going to hit if I pulled it up because. Yeah. But anyway, so you can do your pill ID, and that's sometimes very important. If you have a whole bunch of pills in your Mediset and you mess up and drop it and tip it over and they all fall on the floor and there's, you know, 5 or 6 little round white pills. So this is a good way to find out which one's which because they all look alike. Now you may have to use a magnifying glass to see that. This pill particularly is big, but some of those pills are not big. They're tiny and still they have markings on it. It might have an L, and if you hold it upside down, it looks like a 7. You're like, okay, what is this? So you have to hunt around a few times, but the pill ID is a very good thing to use if you're trying to find pills. I know people who've trying to find what their kids are, you know, what pills are in their kids' pockets and stuff like that. It's terrible, but it is a way of doing that. They need to know that, Lord. Okay, PDR.net is another source. The PDR used to be called the prescriber's desk reference, physician's desk reference. It's now called the prescriber's digital reference because they don't make the book anymore. The book was what, this big? And it was all full of package inserts and it was crazy, but it was for a physician. And it's no longer published in book form. Most things aren't actually. And the online reference is a bit more user-friendly. It's not necessarily aimed at the general public, but you can still use it. You can use the website. The mobile app, you cannot. So you can't walk around with a PDR in your pocket, but you can look it up. Fully searchable, fully digital. So you can look up a lot of stuff. Oh, let's look up codeine because I need it. Oh. Found one drug. No result. I must have spelled codeine wrong. I did. Click. Okay, here's the codeines. Here's the codeine cough syrup. Okay. And the drug summary. Lots of clicks. But if you'll notice, I'm doing a lot of clicking, but there's no ads. Now that's a big deal for me. When you get to some of these other more commercial sites, drives me nuts. This is, you know, adverse reactions. Those are bad ones, bad ones. But that's for people who take a lot. Coma, seizures. Yeah, this is for respiratory arrest. Yeah, these are for people who take a lot. Constipation's much more common. confusion, hallucinations with codeine. Oh, yeah. Drowsiness, nausea, vomiting. Yeah, everybody knows that. Drowsiness, 50%. Yeah. Real common. So this is a good site for some of the other things that you might want to look for. PDR. A lot of people remember the PDR. Drugs.com. Now it was designed for the regular non-healthcare professional consumer. It is the most popular, comprehensive, up-to-date source of drug information. The nice thing about this site, as opposed to WebMD or some of your other commercial sites, is that the information here is peer-reviewed, which means you can trust it. They may be trying to sell something. In fact, they are trying to sell something, because when you pull up this site, I pulled up the pill ID thing first. When you pull up the site, you can find all sorts of information and all sorts of ads. And the ads just keep on coming. So let's look. Acetaminophen. Oh, I know what I should have looked at. Acetaminophen. What is it? Here's a picture of it. But it's only one brand. Don't get tricked. There's a lot of different brands of acetaminophen. Some of them aren't even marked. Some of them are. There's your side effects. Stop taking if you have signs of liver problems. And before taking, what to do, how should I take it? All sorts of stuff about acetaminophen. What happens if I miss a dose? All this stuff should be in the package insert if it's a prescription drug, but this is if it's not. And this should be on the package as well, because they have to put a lot of information on OTC drugs. It's required. So this is a good site that's aimed at the consumer. It does have a lot of ads. Don't click on the ads. Have you ever noticed that it says things like this? Heart surgeon begs Americans over 50, stop eating this for breakfast. This. Now, they want you to click on it to see what it is. If it was really that important, they would have said, right? So it's just junk. It's just junk. Okay, so drugs.com is a good site. It's easy to remember. Drugs.com. Now, here's a couple of other sites for the general public. Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic. They have their own sites. There's a whole lot on their site besides drug information, but the drug information is there. It's mostly the same kind of stuff you're going to get in a package insert if it's a prescription drug, but they also have information on your supplements, like glucosamine. A lot of people take glucosamine. So they're going to have stuff here, and it's Mayo Clinic, so it's reputable. You can trust it. They've got a lot of ads over here, so be aware if the ads drive you nuts. Be aware that they're there. But our take, this is their opinion, right? What the research says and our take. Our take is their opinion. And so when you're looking for biased information, this is biased, but it's biased from a perspective of healthcare professionals. So it's probably worth, it's not biased from the perspective of the person who made the drug, in other words. So when taken in appropriate amounts, it appears to be safe. So, what can it cause? Constipation, diarrhea, nausea, and heartburn. When I was in pharmacy school and we had to take an oral exam, and they were going to ask you about a drug, and I was told by people who knew, when you don't know the answer and they ask you the side effects, say nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Because it's there for almost everything. And it really is. But that's what they told me. And sure enough, I got a drug. I didn't know what the side effects were. And I said that. I passed. I remembered what my friend told me. So anyway, that's the Mayo Clinic. And it's a decent site. And the Cleveland Clinic is similar. You can also care at the Mayo Clinic, you know, if you want to make an appointment or something. And the health library, if you want to look up a disease, this is where this site's really handy. I looked up bronchitis because I have it. And I wanted to know how long I was going to have it. How long is this thing going to last? It's a long time. And this is a symptom checker. Check your symptoms. So you can pick the symptoms that you're experiencing and see, you know, well, what could I have? Well, if I have blood in the stool and, oh, just one thing, and it popped up with what I could have. Look at that. And then you can say, well, if it's worse, if it's also abdominal pain, you know, and then I can find the cause and see what it says. Oh, these are all the bad things. So could be constipation, could be diverticulitis, could be an ulcer. So anyway, that's a kind of a fun little thing, a symptom checker. And so this health library is a good place to go because it's reliable information. It's the Mayo Clinic, you know, it's reliable. There may be ads, but for the most part, the information is reliable. So, all right, let's go back to here. Cleveland Clinic, similar, very similar to the Mayo Clinic. In fact, very, very few differences. They've got a health library also. So you can search diseases, treatments, diseases, body systems, procedures. Oh, let's say, what if I want to know everything there is to know about a colonoscopy? Maybe you don't. So you can type that in and it gives you information. Why do I need one? You know. Anyway, cool little site. You can look up lots of stuff, and it's a reliable site. The pill identifier, like I was talking about before, drugs.com and Hippocrates both have that. And there are times when you will need to use that, or you may. I've certainly had to use it before. Okay, a lot of people have heard of WebMD, and it may be the most commonly used site, but it is not the best site. I'm going to try to steer you away from WebMD. It's not scholarly, it's not peer-reviewed, a lot of pop-ups. I can barely stand to get on this site. Every time I do, it drives me nuts. I say, oh, I want to look something up. And then I start to type. I'm so done. Every time. I can't stand this site. I can't stand it because it's just, you can't do anything. You can't do anything without it just driving you nuts. So anyway, you've got the information, you know, if you can wade through the ads, right? So lots of ads. Okay, so that is Cleveland Clinic. I mean, that's WebMD. It's not scholarly, peer-reviewed. And the other thing I don't like about it is because it's also ad-supported, as opposed to those other sites, government sites, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. Those aren't ad-supported. This is ad-supported. I personally don't know who supports drugs.com because they don't have that many ads on theirs. But this has a lot of pop-ups, a lot of ads. And so you've got to wonder if they're not a little biased towards the sponsors, so they put their stuff up front. So I'm not a fan of WebMD. FDA.gov is a very interesting site. It has different information on it. It has information on recalls. So if you heard on TV that a certain kind of cough medicine was recalled and you want to know more, was that the one I had? You know, you can go here. And here's your recalls. And they're up to date, and they'll tell you why they were recalled. Sometimes it doesn't matter, you know, but sometimes it does. Like this, these steam buns with egg custard. They didn't tell you that they had sesame in it. Well, if you're not allergic to sesame, that's it doesn't matter. You don't have to throw it out. It was recalled, yeah, but you don't have to throw it out. Same thing here. Dunkin' cookies chocolate chip had milk in it and they didn't put it on the label. If you're not allergic to milk, you don't have dietary sensitivity to milk, you don't have to throw it out. So sometimes knowing why something's recalled is really important. Some things, you look at endotoxin levels. I wouldn't use that. That's heparin injection. It has endotoxins in it. No, get rid of it. Potential contamination with salmonella. No, get rid of it. So this is a site where you can find all sorts of interesting things. This just says vegetable products by Supreme Produce. Listeria, not good. So that was recalled because it has listeria in it. And so oh, I need to get rid of that or cook the daylights out of it more. Anyway, this is a cool site if you want to look at the recalls, which it also has some news, FDA news, things that are being new drugs being press announcements, like this is first nasal spray for treatment of anaphylaxis. Yeah, I just saw that. That's kind of cool. But instead of a EpiPen, you can just use a nasal spray. I think that's great. So if you can breathe. But anyway, so this is the kind of stuff that you see on FDA. So it's not exactly the same information, but it's still a very reliable source of information. And you want to hear more? They gave you a teaser on TV. You can come here and look at the information. Okay, my top thing that I can't see because this is in the way says, is AI reliable? Well, they have shown that AI can hallucinate. Y'all know, this is computer society. Y'all know what AI is. So I shouldn't have to talk about that. But it can provide completely unsubstantiated information. They're also, the text can seem very confident. So it could be difficult to ascertain what information by AI is trustworthy and what isn't. It's up to you. AI tools that pull their data, they cannot distinguish between biased and unbiased material. So they may tell you something that's not necessarily true because they pulled it from maybe the manufacturer's website or something like that. So AI is not always. In fact, if you were going to use AI, just use it as a launch pad. I am going to show you, if you do Google, if you do a Google search, okay. If I just do a Google search, and I'm going to ask it a question, because if I just type in a drug name, I get something different than if I just say, does Advil cause drowsiness? Does Advil cause drowsiness? The very first thing I get is really AI. That's the very first thing I get. And it says it does not contain any ingredients or antihistamines that would make you sleepy. There are a lot of people out there who get sleepy with Advil. I'm one of them. And when I go into some of the information about people commenting on this, yeah, it does. It can affect people and it can make them drowsy. It doesn't have to be the Advil PM either. The Advil itself can make you drowsy. So it's interesting that the very first thing they put up here is basically from the Advil website. And it's not reliable. It's not true. Most people don't, but some people do. And it's listed as a side effect. So, you've got to be, why does ibuprofen make you feel drowsy? That's a why. That's not even asking, does it? It's a why. Yes, it does. So, But the AI, no, it doesn't. So you have to be careful. I typed in several questions. Just typing in the drug doesn't get you that. But if you type in a question, AI will answer it. So be aware of how you ask for your search, because that can make all the difference in the world. How you ask the question determines the answer you get. And that's true with everything, right? Everything. Now, my last slide is a very interesting thing, and I got this. You probably can't read it. I barely can. International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. So this is from a library association. And this is how to tell. Oh, that thing. I can't. Maybe if I just clicked on OK, it would go away, but nope. Okay, let's try this again. Yes. Okay. How to spot fake news. And that is not just fake news, but fake websites, fake information, all of this. Consider the source. Is it from the manufacturer's website? Are they the ones telling you, no, Advil doesn't cause drowsiness, take it all you want? Could be. Nervive's website. We treat nerve pain. You're just a vitamin. Don't trick me. Okay, read beyond the headlines, like I was showing you. That surgeon wants you to stop eating this for breakfast. Yeah. Don't pass the headline. And what's the whole story? Don't click on that. Go somewhere else. Figure it out. Do a quick search on the author. Who wrote this? Is it somebody who has credentials? Or is it, they have a commercial on TV. I'm a pharmacist and I take Prevagen because it helps my memory. Prevagen has been proven not to help memory. Just saying. But because it's a dietary supplement, they can still say that it does. And there's one guy on TV saying he's a pharmacist, whether he is or not, like Marcus Welby. You know, is it reliable? Are they real? Are they real? Check on the links if they're supporting sources. And I did notice with some of the AI things, they had links at the bottom that you could check on, and some of them were real. So some of the AI stuff is more real than others. Check the date. Oh yeah, I saw one of these the other day. They had some news story and I went, really? I remember that. And it was like 2 years old. What, you're just now telling me? No, it got proven not true and you're just recycling it to get clicks. Is it a joke? If it's too outlandish, it might be satire. Yeah, we can all use bleach to cure COVID, right? Right? Well, was that a joke or not? Research the site and the author to be sure. And check your biases. If your own beliefs can cloud your judgment, and ask a librarian or consult a fact-checking site. These aren't necessarily for drugs, but these are, you know, like the Washington Post fact checker or stuff like that. That's what they're talking about. But what I'm saying to you is check a reliable site. Check one of the sites that I told you about. Check the Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic or the FDA or something like that. Check one of those sites to see, is this true? And you might learn some information. Maybe it is, but you can't tell. And that's all I have. This is cool though. I like this. Okay. Anything else? Yes.
Some of these ads are just, you can buy this only on the internet and not at the grocery or whatever.
I know.
So I would be very hesitant to give them my money.
Well, the reason they're doing that is because they don't have a very big audience, right? They can't afford to put it in the grocery stores. They can't afford to do that kind of marketing. So they sell it online only. And for like Etsy and stuff like that. I mean, I get that, right? But drugs and stuff, if they didn't go through the FDA, which, I mean, that's a lot of money, just to be honest, that's a lot of money. And you don't want to spend that kind of money. And if it's not even real, the only way you're going to sell it is on the internet.
Like Dolo, you see that advertised all the time.
Go
Isn't that it?
What is
it? Is it Dolo? What is that one that's just for you lose weight and you don't have to diet? It's on there.
None of those are real. Just saying, none of those are real. You can't lose weight. And you can. I remember reading a story about a pill. It worked very well. There was 2 pills in the bottle. You took one this week, and then you take one 2 weeks from now. The first one was a bug, a tapeworm. The second one was something to kill the tapeworm.
Oh, wow.
You lost weight without diet and exercise.
Yeah, killed yourself.
Well, you didn't because you took the killer 2 weeks later. It's gross. It's gross. It's absolutely gross. But that's the kind of stuff because it's not clear from the FDA. So,
Is the UK Medical Center, can it serve as a resource for us?
yes. Yeah, it's gonna, if it has a website, it'll have it .edu after it.
What about consumer guide kind of?
Consumer reports. I've seen some good information there and I've seen some faulty information there. And I'm always surprised when I see some information there that's not true. And I think most of the stuff in Consumer Union is, you know, when they test products and stuff, I believe that. But when they're not testing drugs, they're not testing dietary supplements. They're just doing a literature review. And so depending on where their information comes from, and I have seen information there was a little misleading. So you can go there to start, but I wouldn't stay there.
So how would you evaluate like vitamins? Because you can buy vitamins at Kroger or
You can.
Walmart.
Yeah, if the vitamins, the package will say, if it says USP on it, it has been evaluated by the United States Pharmacopoeia, and it has been found to be what they say it is. That's the biggest thing with vitamins. And that a lot of times when I go on this FDA site for recalls, they recall dietary supplements because they found out that it had something in it wasn't allowed to be in. They don't necessarily have what they say. So those are of concern. If it says USP on it, you can trust it. And if it says NF, they used to have that all the time, National Formulary. That is also trustworthy. Those 2 things, if you see that seal on the bottle, you don't have to worry about it. It's good. So that's how you know if the vitamin is trustworthy or not.
And what about probiotic stuff?
Probiotics have a place in therapy. Probiotics are good if you've had a course of antibiotics and you need to replace your gut flora. But a better way is to just eat food that has probiotics in it, like yogurt, kefir, uncanned sauerkraut, kimchi, if you like kimchi. So those kinds of things are better than taking the pills. The pills that are shelf stable, that say they have antibiotics in them, I mean the bacteria in them, may or may not still be alive. Remember, those are living beings, right? That's how they populate your gut. Now, the one that's Saccharomyces, that's a yeast. And that one's fine. It's Florastor. And Florastor is not an bacteria, it's a yeast. And it's very, very good. But it's only for certain things. You know, if you're taking a course of antibiotics and you don't want to get antibiotic-associated diarrhea, Florastor is the one you want because you can take it while you're taking the antibiotic. You can't take that other stuff because the antibiotic will kill the bugs that are in the probiotic. So there are certain cases. Probiotics should be part of a healthy diet, but not pills. You should eat those fermented foods to help your gut replenish itself. There aren't any things on probiotics that determine whether or not they have what they said they do.
Mhm. What was the brand name that you mentioned on the
Flora Store,
Flora store?
mhm.
You
It
can,
restores the flora, Flora Store.
so you can buy it at Kroger's?
Well, you can buy it at Walgreens. I don't know if you can buy it,
Okay.
you know, but you can buy it over the counter.
Hmm.
Mhm. And that's the one that we used to use all the time in the clinical setting because we were giving it to people who were on antibiotics. You can't do that with a regular probiotic.
Okay.
And that's why we used them.
Hmm.
And some people use them to prevent yeast infections, but really the yogurt is a better choice.
Okay.
If you don't like yogurt, do you like kefir? Kefir is the drinkable kind and it's just as good.